This week on ANN, the U.S. Supreme Court rules Abercrombie discriminated against applicant in workplace religious discrimination case.
More than 130 million copies of the Seventh-day Adventist Church's World Missionary Book are distributed in South America.
And during the Revelation of Hope series in Zimbabwe, more than 34,000 people are treated at a health clinic.
These stories and more coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist World Church. Thanks so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, the U.S. Supreme Court voted 8-1 this week in favor of a case that examined whether an employer could refuse to hire an applicant based on their religious practices and observances. This was the first religious accommodation case to be heard by the Supreme Court in nearly 3 decades. The Seventh-day Adventist Church filed an amicus brief, or friend of the court brief, with other faith groups in the case of Equal Employment Opportunity Commission versus Abercrombie & Fitch Stores Incorporated. The case involved 17-year-old Samantha Eloff, who was denied a job because her hijab head covering violated corporate policy. Adventists fear that a ruling against Eloff could erode workplace religious freedom rights, including Adventists who choose not to work on Saturday, the biblical Sabbath. Todd McFarland, Associate General Counsel for the Seventh-day Adventist Church, has more on the significance of the ruling.
This case was important for a couple of reasons. First of all, the court made it clear that religious discrimination gets, in many regards, equal protection with other forms of protection, which is to say that it's intentional discrimination, that employers can't hide behind the idea that just because they have some neutral rule that they're applying, that they don't have to make an accommodation. So that was important. It was also important because they clarified the way that these cases can be brought, and the court said exactly what plaintiffs have to do to bring these kind of cases. It was also important because they made it clear that, again, as I said earlier, is that it's not just a matter of treating employees neutrally or the same, because that's often what employers think is, well, we treat everyone the same, we expect everyone to work on Saturday, we expect everyone not to wear a headscarf, and so therefore we don't have to make an exception for you. And what the court said, and Justice Scalia said in the opinion, was, yes, you do, religion is entitled to more favorable treatment. And that type of language from the Supreme Court should signal to employers that they have to take this legal obligation seriously.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church in South America last week embarked on a continent-wide distribution of the denomination's World Missionary Book. More than 130 million copies of the Health and Wellness, Secrets That Will Change Your Life were distributed. Revista sent this report.
O setor leste universitário, localizado na cidade de Goiânia, em Goiás, teve um sábado totalmente diferente do que está acostumado. A correria dos estudantes chegando e saindo da faculdade não foi o único movimento pelas ruas. Logo cedo, cerca de 500 profissionais da sede administrativa da Igreja Adventista para a América do Sul, assim como da sede no Centro-Oeste em Goiás, estiveram presentes para ajudar na programação e na distribuição de 8.000 cópias do livro Viva com Esperança. O livro fala sobre como ter uma melhor saúde e mais qualidade de vida. O pastor Edson Schock, coordenador geral do evento, destacou que para um projeto como esse dar certo, é preciso amar as pessoas e sentir a necessidade de compartilhar esperança com a comunidade.
Nós temos que ter uma ideia de que nós não fomos criados apenas para viver sozinhos, só mensagem para mim. Temos que ter uma visão multiplicadora, uma visão expansiva.
O bairro Nobre de Goiânia, com 7.800 domicílios, ainda não tinha uma igreja adventista. A oportunidade de construir uma chegou com o projeto Plantio de Igrejas. O projeto já estabeleceu 13 igrejas na capital goiana devido à ajuda dos funcionários das instituições adventistas. Eles doam quantias mensais em dinheiro para a construção dos novos prédios. Sérgio Fernandes é um dos voluntários. Ele trabalha no setor de manutenção da sede administrativa da Igreja Adventista para a América do Sul.
Eu acho que o projeto aqui é edificante, né? É um projeto que visa a melhorar a condição de saúde, né, das pessoas.
A comunidade que vai frequentar a nova igreja ainda é pequena. São pessoas que vieram de outras igrejas adventistas da região. Carolina Sintra, mais conhecida carinhosamente pelas pessoas da igreja como Tia Carol, nos conta que a construção da igreja é resultado de muita oração.
Um projeto de Deus é a realização de um sonho de 28 anos de oração.
Para o pastor Valmir Rosa, presidente da Igreja Adventista em Goiás, o evento tem o objetivo de atrair os jovens universitários da região.
Esta igreja está sendo plantada num dos principais bairros da cidade. Nós temos mais de 21 mil habitantes aqui. E boa parte desses habitantes são jovens e universitários. Nós estamos com o coração assim, pulsando pela oportunidade de conquistar esses jovens.
O pastor Ayrton Keller, presidente da Igreja Adventista para 8 países sul-americanos, destaca que a entrega dos livros contribui para a formação de uma sociedade melhor.
Nós estamos levando pessoas a ter mais esperança, mas também ter mais saúde, porque esperança não é algo para o futuro. Esperança é algo que começa a mexer com minha vida agora.
O plano é que a inauguração da igreja no setor leste universitário aconteça no dia 5 de dezembro ainda deste ano.
We will bring you more reports from Hope Impact next week.
Church and local leaders in Zimbabwe are celebrating the success of the Revelation of Hope evangelistic series. At the conclusion of the series, leaders confirmed that 34,000 people were treated in a health clinic that was organized by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. More than 500 volunteers helped to deliver $2.5 million worth of free healthcare services. The Chitungwiza Health Expo took place in a shopping center in the center of the city, which is home to 365,000 people. In addition to providing physical care to the residents of Zimbabwe, the Revelation of Hope series helped thousands begin a relationship with their Savior. According to the Adventist Review, church leaders in Zimbabwe say 30,000 people were baptized as a result of the 2-week meeting.
A member of Parliament for the Easter Islands recently promoted Sabbath observance and encouraged the Seventh-day Adventist Church to share its health message throughout the island nation. Iridi Tive, Hanau and Rapa Nui's Council of Chiefs president, made her comments on the same day she was baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Tive's father was baptized into the church in 2006 and encouraged his children to accept the biblical Sabbath. Recently, Tive helped a local pastor and elder, Ted Wilson, president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, resolve a dispute with a local community member who wouldn't let them film in a certain location. After the interaction, she expressed interest in the Seventh-day Adventist Church and requested 100 copies of the church's health and wellness missionary book to share with her fellow members of Parliament. She went on to attend local evangelistic meetings and accepted God and the biblical Sabbath. On her baptismal day, she encouraged the church to share its message throughout the island. She said, "There are many social problems like alcoholism, drug abuse, broken families, and because of these, there are lack of jobs, resentment, and health problems. We will be very grateful for any help the church may provide."
The nation of Andorra this month received its first Seventh-day Adventist church. Associação Cristiana Adventista de Andorra was inaugurated in the small European country nestled between France and Spain in the Pyrenees Mountains. Efforts to officially establish an Adventist congregation have spanned 40 years. A group of families who met in homes were instrumental in finding a way for the church to be officially recognized by the local government. While the nation of Andorra doesn't formally have an official religion, provisions in its constitution grant the Roman Catholic Church certain preeminence with government matters. These laws explain why the nation's first Adventist church had to be registered as an association. Once the association was officially recognized and registered, it was allowed to open a facility to serve as a house of worship.
Earlier this week, the World Health Organization called for the observance of World No Tobacco Day. This year, the focus was on calling countries to work together to end illicit trade of tobacco products. The Seventh-day Adventist Church has long stood against the consumption of tobacco products. In an official statement released by the denomination in 1996, the church stated, "When it comes to smoking, most countries are faced by an ethical paradox. While many decades of research have provided incontrovertible evidence of the health hazards of cigarette smoking, the tobacco industry still flourishes, often with either tacit or overt government support." The statement goes on to say, "A serious question of international ethics is the exportation of cigarettes to developing countries, especially cigarettes higher in lethal ingredients than admissible elsewhere." In the spirit of World No Tobacco Day, the Adventist Church in the Seychelles organized an event to help raise awareness of the dangers of smoking. Volunteers, along with official government leaders, set up an exhibit that displayed tobacco's harmful effects. The Adventist Church in the Seychelles will continue to work with government and charitable agencies in the future to help promote this cause in the nation.
Coming up, find out how church leaders in South Africa petitioned the government to create an alternative national testing day that didn't fall on the Sabbath.
Welcome back. And now for more news from our global church community.
In South Africa, leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church have worked to have the government create alternative dates that don't fall on the Sabbath for an exam that's required for high school seniors. The exam in question is a senior certificate examination. Nearly 150,000 students won't be able to take a portion of the exam since it will be held on a Saturday. Leaders rejoiced when they received a letter last week from the Department of Basic Education, which stated it would agree to make arrangements for Seventh-day Adventists in the nation who are currently registered to take the senior certificate examination. The department stated, "The DBE appreciates the amenable manner in which the Seventh-day Adventist congregation has raised its objection to the timeline and the spirit of cooperation in attempting to find a solution that is in the best interests of the affected candidates."
Students from Andrews University's School of Architecture recently completed a tiny structure that's making a big impact in its community. Andrews University sent this report.
Last fall, Eric Sabin and 7 other architecture students embarked on a mission to build 2 tiny houses from scratch. Tiny as in 148 square feet each, the size of your average living room.
We started with a trailer, and it was just sitting in the parking lot, and we're like, okay, we're going to put a house on that.
None of them had ever done something like this before.
Probably the biggest challenge that we faced doing this was having students with no construction skills.
Armed with a grant from a business entity on campus, School of Architecture Dean and Professor Carrie Kaskalan gave the students a budget, and off they went on a shopping spree to bring their design to life.
We spent about, I think, 3 or 4 hours in Lowe's, running up and down the aisles, picking this out, picking this out.
In the end, the project took 2 semesters. There was simply so much to learn.
The amount of stuff that we thought we knew versus how long it actually took, I mean, just grew exponentially every time that we try to work.
Despite the setbacks, Eric is happy for the experience.
You get to see your designs and your, I guess, ideas come to life, and that, I think, really was probably the most fun that we had in the project, just seeing everything kind of come together at the end.
So far, the public's reaction is overwhelmingly positive.
They're very pleased to see it, to see how big it is inside when it looks so small from the outside, and what a top-notch, what a really fantastic job the students did designing and finishing it.
The homes are for sale, and prospective buyers, like this man, have traveled from out of state with the intention of possibly making a purchase.
We'd like to sell this one and the other one and keep doing this. Make it an option for all of our students to have the opportunity to work like this and build these. These can be of benefit to someone in a nearby community that doesn't have housing, that maybe, if we could sell these, have a little bit of profit, that we could sell one for a very low price to someone in need.
This is Fonda Mwangi for ANN Video.
More than 35,000 kids in Australia and New Zealand recently completed the Weetabix Triathlon Series. Record in Focus has more.
Over the last 6 months, kids' triathlon events were held at 12 locations around Australia and 14 locations around New Zealand, making it the world's largest triathlon series. The aim is to get kids involved in healthy activities, to connect with their communities, and to feel a sense of achievement, no matter what their athletic ability.
So we're here at the Weetabix Kids Triathlon on the Central Coast, and there's kids everywhere, and it's an amazing atmosphere. So
it is really great to see all the kids trying really hard, and everyone's giving each other high fives, and everyone's supporting each other. It's pretty cool.
The Weet-Bix Kids Triathlon events are coordinated by Sanitarium Health and Wellbeing, which is owned and operated by the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
An Adventist leader last week received a congressional medal from Peru's national parliament. The Congreso de la República honored John Gras, director of the Seventh-day Adventist Church's Department of Public Affairs and Religious Liberty. Gras was recognized for his international work of promoting the right of all people to worship as they choose. In his address to Congress before the presentation, Gras said, "Religious freedom is not the defense of one religion against others, but it is the defense of the individual right to be different and to believe according to conscience." Gras said the congressional medal he received belongs to all those who have worked so hard through the years to promote the principle of religious liberty in Peru.
Thousands participated in a religious liberty festival in Brazil that aimed to express appreciation for the right to worship freely. More than 7,000 people gathered in Manaus, the largest city in the Amazon, to express thanks to the government for protecting religious liberty. The event was the third Religious Liberty Festival held in Brazil and was organized by the South American chapter of the International Religious Liberty Association. John Gross, who is the director of the Public Affairs and Religious Liberty Department for the Seventh-day Adventist Church and the Secretary General for the International Religious Liberty Association, encouraged attendees not to take the right to freely practice one's faith for granted. The festival also featured musical tributes from three well-known Brazilian groups, Solanza and Archie Trio, along with singer Marquinhos Mareal. Several IRLA leaders from around the world were honored with medals and certificates in recognition of their efforts to promote religious liberty in the country.
And finally in the news this week, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Setúbal, Portugal, recently launched a health initiative to encourage community members to adopt healthy lifestyle practices. Hope Channel Portugal sent this report.
O Parque Urbano de Albarquel, em Setúbal, foi o lugar escolhido para mostrar à população da cidade o projeto de saúde Quero Viver Mais. Crianças, jovens e adultos uniram-se e a uma só voz convidaram todos os que por ali passaram para as várias iniciativas que tiveram lugar durante a tarde de sábado.
A Igreja de Setúbal está empenhada de uma forma particular na promoção da saúde e lançámos um programa ainda hoje sobre hábitos saudáveis, 8 semanas em que iremos procurar sensibilizar-nos a nós próprios e sensibilizar também os nossos amigos para que, por semana, possamos alterar um hábito. E então viemos para esta zona, por um lado, convidar também as pessoas a assistir às conferências que vão existir na igreja e a participar também neste programa de hábitos saudáveis. Por isso é que estamos aqui.
Ao longo da tarde, os mais pequenos desafiaram os adultos a trocarem cigarros por maçãs, enquanto outros prepararam as bancas com todo o material de apoio, quer no âmbito da saúde, quer em representação das áreas em exposição.
Temos o colégio a funcionar, o Jardim de Infância Arco-Íris, temos também a ADRA, a parte da saúde e o Clube dos Bravadores. Nós também estamos a promover os desbravadores, já temos um núcleo bastante grande, mas gostávamos também que mais jovens tivessem a oportunidade de fazer parte deste núcleo.
À hora marcada, profissionais de saúde deram palestras sobre os malefícios do tabaco ou mesmo como prevenir o cancro, uma vez que o consumo de tabaco constitui presentemente a primeira causa evitável de doença e de morte e contribui para 6 das 8 primeiras causas de morte a nível mundial. Nos intervalos das palestras, o Teatro de Fantoches mostrou à pequenada quais os nutrientes que podem ajudar numa boa alimentação. Tudo isto porque o projeto Quero Viver Mais foi feito também a pensar neles.
Nós preocupamos com a criança no seu todo, a sua educação, quer no nível académico, quer a nível de saúde, o seu crescimento físico, espiritual, e por isso a alimentação também é um ponto muito importante e que nós procuramos transmitir às crianças que elas têm que ter cuidado com a sua alimentação, com os seus hábitos de saúde para que possam crescer mais saudáveis.
Ao longo deste ano, o projeto Quero Viver Mais está a ser desenvolvido não apenas em Setúbal, mas em todo o país, porque a comunidade adventista tem uma mensagem específica de saúde para partilhar com aqueles que ainda não a conhecem.
Still ahead, learn about the newest resources from the Stewardship Department of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
But up next, find out what's in the latest edition of Adventist World Magazine.
Dog spelt backwards is God. Now, the last thing we would do is make a dog into a god. They are the created, not the creator. But there are many practical things my dog Cyrus has taught me, both about God and how we should live. I once saw a sticker that said, "Try to be the person your dog thinks you are." They always seem to see the positive side of us, and they just love us no matter what. It's no wonder they're considered our best friends. So what are some spiritual insights our best friends can teach us about everyday life?
Welcome back. Steve Chavez shares his preview of the current issue of Adventist World Magazine.
Imagine living as a model citizen in a country where you are punished for wanting to worship on the seventh day of the week. Imagine that you found it impossible to find work and that you were eventually exiled along with your wife and small child to one of the most extreme climates on the planet. Well, this month in Adventist World, you don't have to imagine it. You can read Banished or Blessed, the story of Sasha and Valentina Ivanov, who remained faithful to God while serving their communities as best they could. It's a terrific read, and it's our cover story for June, written by Barbara Huff. Later this month, delegates and guests from around the world will descend on San Antonio, Texas for an event we call a General Conference Session. In this issue of Adventist World, historian and archivist David Trim takes us back to the very first General Conference Session held 152 years ago in Battle Creek, Michigan, United States. In his fascinating article, Trim shares how today's sessions, with thousands of participants, have many things in common with that first session that had fewer than 24 delegates. You'll enjoy reading Trim's piece, The Spirit of 63. This month's Adventist World also has our usual features: World Health by Drs. Peter Landless and Alan Handysides, Bible Questions Answered by Angel Manuel Rodriguez, and a Bible study by Mark Finley, this month entitled Living in the Holy Spirit's Power. They're all available in print and online at www.adventistworld.org. Happy reading.
For this week's Tech Corner, Erika Pooney shares where you can find free workshops for your stewardship ministries needs.
In September 2014, Adventist Stewardship Ministries made history by streaming the Dynamic Stewards online conference live from the world headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. 15 experts came together to present 24 essential stewardship topics, which were translated into Spanish, French, and Portuguese. We had almost 5,000 lock-ons from 83 countries around the world. We are pleased to announce that these 96 videos are now available online for anyone to watch or use in their stewardship education events in your local region and church. The seminars are also available on DVD from Advent Source. You may also request the master files for duplication in your region. Our contact details are on the screen.
For this week's social media report, Angela Taipei shares the basics of creating a social media crisis plan.
In a time of instant information via social media, even the smallest of problems can quickly run out of control. Nowadays, social media is the first place most people will go for up-to-date information or to complain. If you're prepared, it's an invaluable tool to manage your church or ministry's reputation and come through a crisis unharmed. A social media crisis can come from either external or internal factors. External factors could be something like a natural disaster, and you need to keep your audience informed about how your church was affected or what it's doing to help. An internal factor could be something like a poorly worded Facebook post that came across as insensitive or inappropriate. Your first step to create a plan. Form a social media team from within your organization who understand their roles when a crisis hits. Before a crisis hits, brainstorm possible scenarios and map out responses. You'll also want to create a crisis center online. Designate and design an area of your website as a crisis center that can be published when the need arises. During a crisis, this will be your central place that you send people to stay informed. Monitor the crisis to know what people are saying. You could use a social media monitoring tool such as Social Mention, Topsy, Hootsuite, or Mention. But most importantly, respond to comments. This is where your crisis communication team will jump into action. Make sure those individuals who have the answers are available to give you that information to respond. Post relevant updates as soon as you have them. And lastly, when a social media crisis is caused internally, own your mistakes. Take full responsibility for the issue and put out a compassionate, well thought out apology on the platform where the problem originated. When the unexpected happens, make sure your social media pages are ready to communicate proactively.
Now let's turn to Benjamin Baker for a look at Adventist history.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. During this week in Adventist history, a whopping 8 General Conference sessions occurred. And the wonderful thing is, we have photos of all of them. From May 13 to June 6 in 1909, the 37th General Conference session was held in Tacoma Park, Maryland, on the grounds of the church headquarters, on the campus of today's Washington Adventist University, right next to the border of the U.S. Capitol. 4 years later, the 38th General Conference session took place in the same location on roughly the same dates. In 1926, the World Church met in the Midwest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, from May 27 to June 14. San Francisco, California, was the host city for the 42nd GC session, from May 28 to June 12, 1930. The Bay City was such an ideal location that the next session of 1936 was held there, beginning on May 26 and concluding on June 8. 5 years later, the Adventists again met in San Francisco for the 44th GC session. In 1946, from June 5 to June 15, the Adventist believers convened in Tacoma Park near the world headquarters, returning there after a hiatus of 6 sessions. And for the 46th GC session in 1954, San Francisco played host for the 7th time, with the final session being held there in 1962, I think. See you in San Antonio for the 60th General Conference session.
Thanks for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, join our global conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can connect with other Adventists worldwide through more stories, photos, and videos. Visit Facebook/Adventist News, Twitter/Adventist Church, and Instagram @Adventist Church.
Our good news for this week comes from the book of John, chapter 13, verses 34 and 35. In the passage, Jesus says, "A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.